with wearesc.com and On3, and we've got about a month now until the early signing period begins on December 21st. Most of the guys in USC's recruiting class are going to sign on that day, so there will be some that will go into the February, I think the second or third or something like that, for the second signing period. But leading up to this December signing period, we're going to do a daily video podcast, mainly focusing on recruiting, but we'll also probably sprinkle in some team stuff too, because there's going to be probably plenty to talk about, depending on how USC does. They will be playing in the Pac-12 championship game after Notre Dame this weekend. But talking about Notre Dame, it's going to be a huge recruiting weekend for the Trojans. There's going to be just a boatload of unofficial visitors from each recruiting class, the class of 2023, 24, 25, 26. I'm sure there's going to be some younger guys that'll be in the mix at the Coliseum as well, but there's also going to be 3 official visits. There could be more. And again, this list also, we'll be posting this on wearesc.com, the list, and we'll be updating it every day. There'll be lots of additions. Could be some subtractions, we don't know, but the official visitors are going to be 4-star offensive tackle from Gilbert, Arizona, Highland High School, Caleb Lomu. Right now, the prediction is for him to end up at Utah, but the fact that he's planning on taking this visit to USC, his final official visit, it gives USC an opportunity here to make a statement. You've got the number 5 ranked team in the country right now, a team that has a program that has an opportunity to make it to the playoffs here in Lincoln Riley's first year as head football coach. So there's a lot going on at USC that's going to be attractive to recruits, especially the guys from the West Coast. And Caleb Lomu is one of those. So right now, I believe that the Utah's going to be the team to beat, but USC gets this. If he does end up taking this official visit, I have to think that USC has a shot. Otherwise he would not be wasting his time to come out to California for a weekend. He's visited USC twice before. He has a very high opinion of the program, the coaching staff, and the players at USC. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. We'll probably learn, as the weekend goes on, how things are going, and we'll be reporting that at wearesc.com. But Jacoby Lane, also from Phoenix area, in Mesa, Arizona, from Red Mountain High School, he's committed to USC. One of the most impressive athletically gifted wide receivers in this recruiting class. He's about 6'4", 6'5". He makes these ridiculous one-handed grabs. His ability to go up and grab balls that most guys are unable to get is sometimes just stunning to watch. So this is going to be a guy that USC would bring in to complement Mekhi Lemon and Zachariah Branch. And that mix of those 3 guys is going to be pretty impressive. I would expect, those guys will make impacts pretty early on in their careers at USC. And the third official visitor is another commit, defensive lineman from St. Francis Academy in Baltimore, Maryland, Sam Green. Sam is somebody that I went and saw play this weekend when St. Francis took on IMG Academy at the University of Maryland. It was actually Friday night. I think it was about 28 degrees out, so got an idea of what a night game in the Big Ten would be like. Hopefully they don't play any night games, but if they do, it gets cold here in November. But he's going to take his official visit. Saw him play; he was extremely impressive. This is a guy who is a lot better football player than I think his ranking indicates. He is undersized as far as the people that are doing the rankings are concerned. They look at guys and what the algorithm equals out to be on guys that end up getting drafted by NFL clubs. And he's like Aaron Donald, he's a little bit undersized, but this guy's got a motor. He plays hard every down. And he's just very disruptive, and he was very, very difficult to handle. So IMG was double teaming him most of the game. So he's going to be coming on his official visit this weekend when the Trojans face Notre Dame. It was really, really interesting. I waited for Sam after the football game ended on Friday night to talk to him briefly, and I probably waited about 35 minutes or something like that. And I walked up the stairs into the stadium to get to the ground level. And outside the gate was his sister and his mom that were waiting for him. And his sister, the first thing I heard, she didn't, know who I was or anything like that. And I just kept hearing, fight on. And here's this girl giving it the victory sign and yelling, fight on. So that was kind of cool to see that happening. His family, his mom too, they're very, very excited for him to go out to Los Angeles and start his career at USC. But he's one of those guys that, I think there's going to be some other teammates that could join him this weekend, at least for the football game. I'm not quite sure they'd be out there for the entire time that Sam is, but there could be 2 or 3 guys from St. Francis Academy that are coming out there, and you'll be able to find that out at wearesc.com. We'll add this stuff. We'll have a story up tomorrow, and throughout the week we'll be adding updates on everybody that's going to be visiting. But Braylon Shelby is also going to be at USC this weekend for an unofficial visit. So he'll be there for the Notre Dame game as well. Anytime these guys are coming back and getting on campus, you never know what's going to happen in the recruiting process nowadays, especially with the NIL offers and all that kind of stuff. In fact, come December, we don't really know where a lot of guys are going to end up going to school, guys that are committed currently, because there's guys like Malik Bryant that are committed to Miami, and he's looking at Miami right now like it's it's not a very good looking place to be right now. I think Miami's 5-6 or something like that, and the program is just kind of in disarray at the moment. And contrast that with University of Southern California and what Lincoln Riley has done at USC. It makes you wonder how some of these guys are looking at some of these programs that are floundering here as we head into December. USC might get back into the game with a few people. There's another guy like Francis Mauigoa. He's another guy that there's nothing that I've heard that indicates he's not going to end up Miami, but the University of Florida is coming after him hard. In fact, they had him set to come for a visit a couple of weeks ago, maybe even this past weekend, and Miami kind of put a stop to that in only the way that Miami's NIL collective can do. So those are the class of 2023 guys that are going to be there. There'll be other. We haven't contacted everybody. We haven't talked to all kinds of people that we will need to in order to get this list complete. But those are the guys who are aware from the class of 22. Zachariah Branch will be at USC again as well. Makai Lemon. Elijah Page told me he can't make it. But there's going to be, right now we started off with a list of really impressive class of 2024 prospects are going to be there, which is headlined with 5-star quarterback DJ Lagway from Willis, Texas, just north of Houston, probably about 50 minutes or so. And he's kind of down to 3 schools, I think USC, Clemson, Florida. I'm not sure if Texas A&M is still in there anymore, but USC is one of those schools at the top for him. And right now there's a prediction from Sam Spiegelman, one of the national analysts for On3, and he made a prediction for Florida. But I still watch out for the Trojans on this one. He's also a class of 2024. Those guys don't sign for a year from December, so we really don't know what's going to happen ultimately with those guys. And you have Peyton Woodyard that's going to be at USC on Saturday. You have Kingston Biliamu Asa from his teammate from St. John Bosco, another St. John Bosco big-time player, Marcellus Williams, Max Williams' youngest brother. Brandon Baker from Modern Day, DeAndre Carter, 2 of the top offensive linemen in the country. They'll be at USC for the Notre Dame game. Dakota Fields from Sarah High School, one of the most impressive cornerbacks in the class of 2024. He is going to be at USC as well for the Notre Dame game. And then we have Idris Farouk from St. Francis Academy. Sam Green told me that he's likely going to be there. So we have him on the list right now. We have not confirmed with him whether he's going to be on this visit or not. And there's going to be a lot of other guys there as well. But there's also rumors that start up this time of year. The season is winding down, and transfer season is going to start. And we're getting asked about guys who aren't even in the transfer portal who USC might be looking at. And USC's not looking at anybody right now that's not in the transfer portal. But guys right now are making plans to transfer from the schools they're currently at. And when they talk about this kind of stuff, they mention schools that they would be interested in. And, there's a rumor about Xavier Worthy from the University of Texas on potentially transferring to USC. And, we're asked, is there any validity to this? And yes, there is. the likelihood of USC, of him ending up at USC and going through with the transfer and all that kind of stuff, we're not sure on that. But USC is definitely one of the schools that he is considering. So this will be a situation should he enter the transfer portal. We can't say that we expect him to, but it won't be surprising if he does. It's definitely something that's in his thought process right now. Watch out for USC to be the school to beat if he does enter the transfer portal. He would be a huge, huge, huge addition to any program. So, with Jordan Addison leaving after this season, you add a Xavier Worthy, Zach Branch, Mekhi Lemon, Jacoby Lane, potentially Deuce Robinson in there as a big inside receiver as well, tight end. That would be a hell of a class for USC. So, there's going to be a lot going on between now and the end of the year anyway, and until the transfer season kind of comes to an end. So that's why I'm kind of getting started on these videos and on these podcasts, so you guys can kind of get an idea of what's going on each day, because there's going to be updates, and we'll probably save some stuff just because we want to keep this. I don't know if it's going to be 15 minutes every time. Right now we're at the 11-minute mark. We're going to try and keep it below 15 minutes. So this initial video and podcast probably is going to be fairly short, but just wanted to talk about the game, the USC UCLA game last night, which was anybody that was watching it would talk about how entertaining it was. And it just was a great football game. And hats off to Dorian Thompson-Robinson for the effort he put in. Obviously he threw some interceptions, and that was one of the reasons why USC was able to hang in there and pull off the 3-point victory. But Caleb Williams, I mean, good gosh. We can start with Lincoln Riley, and it's just, I said in another video, it's just astonishing on what he's been able to accomplish in year one with the new coaching staff and the guys that he has brought in from the transfer portal and some of the additions from the high school players as well. The turnaround, because USC was 4-8 last year, and there was no hope that it was going to get any better, except they were hiring a new football coach. And this time last year, we were pretty much down to, it was Dave Aranda, it was Matt Campbell. That's my alarm. Keep it below 15 minutes, but we are actually only at the 12:35 mark. And just watching Caleb's one, it's after a game like last night. It's hard to fathom that there is a football player playing at an elite program that is more vital to the success of that program than Caleb Williams. I mean, it's just, come on. Somebody could make an argument that there are other guys. It's hard for me to believe that there is. And the whole essence of the Heisman Trophy, just like Caleb Williams embodies what that award is all about. I just, for those that are old like myself, people that have been around a while, like Mark and Eric and Greg Katz and Chris Arledge, and I'm going to probably miss some people here, but Carson Palmer won the Heisman Trophy the week of the UCLA game, Notre Dame, and there were like 3 games where Carson just lit it up, and that brought him into the top spot for the Heisman Trophy. And depending on what happens this weekend, I think you have a Pac-12 championship game added to the equation that Carson Palmer didn't have as well. So, should USC go on to win Saturday and then go on to win the Pac-12 championship game against either Oregon or Washington, I think Caleb Williams is going to be the guy to beat if he's not already. And USC getting into the playoffs would just blow my mind. Before the season started, see, we didn't get to watch practice this year, so my thinking was USC was going to deal with some injuries and they were going to lose a game that probably shouldn't, because most teams do. But USC did not lose a game that they should have lost. They lost to Utah, which was a hard-fought football game that came down to the last minute. And Utah made a 2-point conversion to win that football game. But USC was winning that football game, almost the entire game. So they played well. And, if they go on to be a much improved Notre Dame football team, I think they're now ranked in the top 20 again, maybe even the top 15 in one of the polls. it's going to be potentially a far more challenging game than people think, and I'm sure that Lincoln Riley's going to ensure that his football team is not overlooking Notre Dame, because that would be very foolish. They're going to be well prepared to play on Saturday, but that atmosphere is going to be electric. And I think that this will be the first time recruits will get kind of a general feel of what it was like back during the Pete Carroll days. So we'll see. I'm sure the game's sold out. I haven't heard what the ticket sales are, but it's going to be a huge recruiting weekend. And there's before I end this, I'm going over the 15 minutes, but the first video and podcast we're doing, I'm not going to really worry about time as much as I will on the future shows. But Tyler Scott from Atlanta, Georgia, one of the fastest rising, hottest prospects right now in the country from Atlanta, Georgia. He is set for a USC official visit for December 9th. So, there's going to be a lot of developments with recruiting, because, you're going to have this weekend for Notre Dame. Then USC is going to have the Pac-12 championship game, and they're going to be in Las Vegas that weekend. So there won't be any official visits the following weekend. But then the following 2 weekends are probably going to be, the final official visits before signing day. I don't know who's going to be coming in, but there are going to be plenty of official visits left that USC is going to bring guys in for. So we will keep you up to date. We're at wearesc.com. On3.com is our network, is the homepage. There's plenty of stuff there too to look at. There's links to all of the various team sites that we have, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys there. And for those of you who haven't taken advantage of it right now, we haven't. You can gobble up an annual subscription to wearesc.com right now for $10. I think it might be $10.99 or something like that, but I think it's hard to imagine a better deal like that. And we have a staff there that is working our butts off to make sure that we get you the best team content and recruiting stuff. This Friday, I'll be at the Rose Bowl to see Mater Dei St. John Bosco play. We'll talk to a bunch of their guys after the game. The class of 2024 from St. John Bosco and Mater Dei is just littered with some of the elite prospects in the country that USC has targeted. So there'll be a lot to learn from them. We'll talk to all the guys after they take their visits and are at the USC Notre Dame game. So this week and the following weeks are going to be extremely busy, and we'll look forward to seeing you at wearesc.com.